Hello, welcome back to Al Talks. Um, in this episode, what is that? There's something wrong with the computer. In this episode, I'll be talking about recent Joe Rogan episode that he had two guests on. One of them was Joe List, who's a comedian and a podcaster, like most comedians. If you're a comedian, you're a podcaster as well. It just goes hand in hand. I often joke about it on stage actually as well. And the other was the legendary comic Louis C.K. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of controversy around Louis for the things that happened in the past, but um, I don't know. There's a pause, like I feel like I'm his PR manager now, but there it was an interesting episode because they were talking about because him, Joe Rogan, and Louis C.K. They're the same age, things like a year apart. I think Joe's a year older than Louis, and they were talking about how they started out in comedy in Boston, and that when they started out, um, the reason that conversation is interesting is because Joe List, who started out in comedy about 20 years after they did, um, you know, they were still holding in remembrance the comedians that Joe Rogan and what's his name, Louis would have been coming up with, and it's very interesting that in 20 years that the same people are still doing comedy and stuff like that because like it's the same here in Ireland. There's a couple of veteran comedians that are way over 20 years and doing this, and I get the opportunity to meet some of them sometimes. Like I got to meet Patrick McDonald, who was Father Owen McClove in Father Ted, and then I got to meet Joe Rooney, who was Father Damo. And, both are still in comedy, both very, very funny comedians, and it was, how shall I say, um, yeah. So they'd be kind of the same here, and but like I said, nevertheless, it was interesting to hear that because I remember from other stories, Joe Rogan was saying that there was a lot of comedians in Boston that would never go on the road, and that if you went on the road, when you came back, they kind of shunned you because they would just stay in Boston, do the same kind of bits year in year out, and they would they make 60, 70,000 a year, and that would be them. But then like Joe Rogan, Louis, obviously they left Boston and they went off to other places. I think both of them went over to New York and started doing comedy, which is a whole other different game. Because they were saying as well that in Boston, people kind of, they bounced ideas off each other, jokes and stuff. And when they got to New York, it was very kind of, it was definitely very, because, people were very private in New York. They were saying that they wouldn't share ideas just in case somebody tried to steal them because New York comedy scene's very, they were saying it's very competitive and stuff like that. So, because, you couldn't start doing comedy at 9 at night and finish at 2 or 3 in the morning. You could do it all day long, all night long. So, and it kind of brought me thinking to, obviously, as I've said before in the past, very good. Struggling for words here today. Melinda's been a huge influence on me and with all the help and advice he's given me over the last couple of months and that. And there's been other comedians um, that have helped, and by going to Giggles as well, talking to other comics. Because before Giggles starts, Giggles, the sign up was 6:30, and we don't start till like 7. But it's not always 7. It's usually 7:05, 7:10. There's always a joke that comedy clubs never start on time, and 90% of the time is true. just for whatever reasons, because some people could be arriving late and stuff like that. So but anyway, so yeah. So usually before giggles, we would sit down, talk to a couple of people, and bounce ideas off each other. But you'd be kind of thinking about, oh, what are you going to talk about today? Did you write any new stuff this week and stuff like that? And that's where everyone's been gigging this week and things like that. And it is really nice to have that, And we usually tell each other jokes that we plan on doing or did do, and the stuff that worked and didn't work. And it's always funny, like, because and I think that's a good thing to have, like, because obviously there's stuff with jokes, thieves like Carlos Mencia, and then Amy Schumer as well. Um, but I think that accusation was alleged or didn't happen. I don't know, to be honest. And so like the most, um, it's not uncommon in human nature to take someone's idea and use it for their own purpose. I think the most famous one would be Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. You know, Edison hired Tesla, and he was a student of his, and then he stole all his ideas. And Nikola Tesla ended up living the rest of his life pretty much broke and died alone, surrounded by a load of pigeons. And so I suppose that's kind of the way the thinking was in New York. I don't know if it's the same now, but it's definitely interesting kind of to hear what the scenes in comedy are like from different perspectives, and kind of and to have it as a comparison for the scene that I'm currently in, which is based here in Ireland. And now this will come out before I do the Halfpenny Bridge In. So next week's episode I'll be talking about that and working on new material, which I should write down some stage. But I think I'll do that later on. Because while at Edinburgh, while I didn't perform, I did come up with a lot of jokes, which I want to try out. I think I have them written down in my notes. One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, 5 new jokes I have to write down. No, that's a lie. It's not 5 because I came up with 2 more. So actually, I should write them down before I forget. Right, they're written down so I don't forget. And I don't think there is anything else. Excuse me. I don't think there's anything else for me to tell you. I don't think I have any other news coming up. Most like I said, I don't know how often I'll be doing comedy from now on because of a lot of other things. September is going to be a busy month. So I will probably. Oh, well, I don't know, we'll see. But I think that's it for this episode. As per usual, yeah, everything's falling apart. You can get this podcast sticker here if you want to come support me financially. The production value of this podcast is brilliant. Just random piece of paper, life of a comedian. Always a bits of paper with scribbles on it. Yeah, so blanking again. So yeah, you can get the podcast sticker. It's $2.50. If you want to get one, you can message me on my social media or email me, and I'll send one out to $2.50 in euros. What else? That includes shipping and postage. But that'll be all for this week's episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the support. And we shall see each other next week. And we will have news on how we get on in box comedy. Like I said, gonna try out new material never heard before, so it's gonna be interesting, fun, also scary. Hopefully it works, people laugh. Yeah, that's it. So I will see you all next week, and thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and all the support. Bye bye.